What up? Caitlin here. Is that how you do it?
Yeah, that's definitely how I do it. Well, it's Caitlin and Joey back again because we have watched the next and I guess final Avengers movie.
At least in this phase.
At least in this phase.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about it. I'm tentatively calling this the Avengers Endgame Emotional Support Group because we need one.
When you watch the video I sent you, you asked me to record something the night of. There's a lot of sighs. It's a roller coaster. But it's a lot of fun.
So definitely, if you're watching this, if you are a longtime subscriber, beware, there are lots of spoilers here as there were last year. Spoiler-free review is that if you haven't seen it and you like Marvel movies or have seen even just a few of them, I think it was a really enjoyable movie to go see. So go watch it and then come back and watch this video. Why don't we go to both Joey and then my immediate reaction after the film.
It's 1:55 in the morning. I just got home from seeing Avengers Endgame. I am very tired, but I'm running on adrenaline because I don't think I have ever experienced anything like that in a movie theater before. 11 years of storytelling. Ugh, I'm so tired. Storytelling. Different directors, actors, writers, production people, all to come together and to wrap itself up so perfectly. Avengers was very good.
Well, we just got done watching Avengers Endgame. I'm still very snotty because I was crying. Eric did not cry, but that's okay.
Almost. It was really good though.
It was a very good end for a lot of the main storylines.
Yeah, I'd say at least for the original ones.
I'm just mostly really sweaty. I got really sweaty at the end.
You got really emotional.
I did. Well, there was a lot of stuff that I had felt like was going to happen or had suspected at different points and stuff.
Overall, it's probably my favorite Avengers movie, at least since the first one.
Yeah. It had a really good payoff at the end, I would say.
Yeah.
With everyone.
Just huge. Yeah, they went big at the end.
All right, now back to me and Joey in the future where we're going to talk about it. And we're back. Yeah. Significantly, at least for me, less teary-eyed. I was really puffy in the face from crying the whole last, I didn't start crying until Tony Stark died.
Yeah.
And then I was like...
Wait, he died. I think I saw the wrong movie.
Oh no, I have spoiled it.
Whoops.
So I have some questions last year, and I think we should...
Perfect.
Going in, who did you think was going to die?
So, going in...
Or stay dead?
I really thought that Cap might be the one to die, just because he is he's the guy that sacrifices himself. He's the guy that always puts himself in harm's way.
Yeah, that's funny. That's exactly what Eric thought. He really thought that Tony Stark would retire and that Captain America, Steve Rogers, would die in some way. I kind of thought going in, just in terms of contracts and stuff, that I thought maybe the big three, Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor, would all die in some way. Yeah. They were the ones, at least I was very afraid for their lives. Yeah. And especially at that end battle when the three of them go out towards Thanos and they're the first ones there, I was like, oh no, everyone's gonna die right now.
Yeah, I thought Hulk was a possibility too because they can't do a solo Hulk movie.
Oh yeah.
Because there's a weird rights thing and it's bogged down in a bunch of contract stuff.
Best one-liner or joke?
This is tough. I thought the whole thing, and it's a two-parter, but Ant-Man being like, no, he does have a good ass, that's America's ass. And then Captain America fights himself and he knocks himself out and looks down and he's like, that's America's ass.
That's funny because that's under one of my questions is best fan service. And that's my answer for best fan service because I feel like you've had fans for a while being thirsting over Steve Rogers' butt and you're like, oh, let's.
Also when Hulk dabbed. When Hulk signed the autographs and that whole scene and his interaction with the kids and he's just like, yeah, listen to your mother, stay in school, and does and I'm like, did Hulk just dab? I thought that was pretty good too.
Mine is Thor is talking about having lightning coursing through his veins and Rhodey's cheese whiz is coursing through your veins. problematic because it's like, there's definitely some fat shaming going on, which I'm not okay with, but also like...
And I think because Thor has always been portrayed as the strongest, the most perfect, like the most chiseled, like because he's literally a god in that universe. Pirate angel baby,
you know?
Exactly, yeah. He's a god in that universe. Like I think that the comedic contrast there is this is funny because it's so in contradiction to how you've normally been.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit about best fan service. Did you have a moment of best fan service?
When he got into the elevator and they teased that we were going to have another fight like the Winter Soldier. And he leans in and he says the Hail Hydra because he knows that these guys are not who he thought they were back then.
Yeah.
And it's a nod to Nick Spencer, who sort of set the comic world on fire in not the best way by having Captain America come out as if he were a Hydra agent. Because there was a nod to that and it was such a great part of the film, I thought that was a really nice like tip of the hat to Nick Spencer and sort of what he dealt with.
I also liked at the end when like Captain Marvel gets the gauntlet and then all the ladies, like it's like the ladies of Marvel unite, which maybe was the most sort of like cheesy moment a little bit where they were forcing it, but I still loved it so much that I can't like...
Yeah, it didn't feel like forced, but also just like not even forced as much as like they made it very clear. They didn't hide their hand at all. Like there's a sweeping shot and like every like female character gets a turn. But I thought it was really cool the way they did that. And the whole teamwork aspect of trying to get the gauntlet to where it needed to be to try to throw it in the portal. Like there was, which included that sequence, was such good fan service.
Best or favorite wow moment?
That's tough because there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
The one that got a little bit of a lump in my throat is when I said I love Winter Soldier. I am a huge Anthony Mackie fan. And so when you hear in Cap's ear, like at the most dire part of the battle, hey Cap, you got me? On your left. When he said, I'm getting chills right now thinking about it. Like that was when I started to get like the chills and get choked up a little bit because it was like everybody's back, and not only back, we know that the snap worked, the Hulk snap worked, and they're coming to assist the battle, and everything that follows of the reemergence of Black Panther and all of the army from Wakanda, Doctor Strange, like so many people. Yeah. So that was a huge wow moment. And then I wasn't really sure how they were going to stop Thanos.
Yeah.
So Tony does this, and you see the stones, like, that was incredible.
Yeah. Just like, oh.
Yeah.
I definitely, that was...
That was that moment where I was like, it's perfect. Like, this ending is perfect.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, Captain America is one of my favorite. I guess Captain America and Thor are kind of like... So, the moment when he gets the Thor's hammer. And
oh my gosh,
so, like, because I have been, like, you have no idea how many, like, things I've read on Tumblr and, like, Pinterest and stuff of... like people analyzing that scene in Age of Ultron where they're like all just like playing around and like it kind of moves and you see in like Thor's eyes kind of like and so a lot of people have speculated, and I was in that conspiracy or whatever, that he could have picked it up then and he chose not to. And so then just the moment when he's able to do it and then Thor is like, I knew it. It just was like, I don't know. Favorite story arc? I can do mine if you think.
You go first.
So I think, again, I'm a big Captain America fan. I think Steve Rogers' overall arc. Like, I knew that when they sent him back, I was like, he's not... Actually, to be honest, I knew, like, when he saw Peggy Carter in the window, I was like, ooh, if he makes it out of here, he's going back for her. And I was so happy about that. You know, he missed this huge chunk of life. And, you know, they had the whole thing with, like, her granddaughter, I guess, and where he sort of dated her. And I just never really was feeling it. And I was so glad that he went back for her and, like, got to live basically a normal life, it seems like.
Yeah, they framed that so perfectly with him quoting that line from Tony. I read, one of my favorite things that I read about was that, talking about how well woven the stories are and how airtight it is that people have gone back now and looked at all of the different interactions between Cap and Peggy Carter and the mentions of her family. And she never says the name of who her husband is. She never says that it's not Steve Rogers. He's not in any of the photos. Now, if you think about the fact that he travels back in time and says, I'm from the future, but I want to live out my life with you.
Mm-hmm.
But there's another me in this timeline.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to live very low-key life.
Mm-hmm.
Then the idea that this has been happening all along throughout the movies, to me is just like the fact that works.
Yeah, except for
like
the
it
part,
doesn't just work in the movie; it works throughout the other films.
Except for the part where he kissed her granddaughter.
That's weird.
Correction. So I think maybe she was the grandniece, which wouldn't make it gross.
When we're old, I'm gonna come back and ask you if you want to kiss your grandnephew on the mouth.
Well, but it's still like, I mean, yes, he wouldn't have known, but it's not.
No, he didn't know then. He didn't know.
Yeah.
I know. I'm just teasing.
But they're not blood related.
I love that Ant-Man had like still a funny role, but he was the linchpin of how they were able to figure this out. And I mean the time heist thing.
Yes.
You know, and then the fact that like he emerges as Giant Man, which is like a callback to Civil War, and so I really liked Ant-Man's arc.
Do you have a saddest moment where you shed a tear, or not even?
It was more like when Tony Stark dies essentially, and like the exchange with him and Pepper and with Peter Parker, like that's definitely a tough one. The funeral scene and everyone being there together like really brought perspective onto how big of an undertaking it was.
Yeah.
I feel like I sort of spent the last like 15 or 20 minutes of that film just like, you know, with this like sad expression, like covering my open mouth, like oh, like How about you?
Well, like Peter, like coming to Tony, like when he was dying and being like, "We won, Mr. Stark."
Yeah.
And then doesn't he? Because he's like he says Mr. Stark like twice, and then he says Tony.
He does.
At the end, and that was really sad.
Yeah.
And then also when like Hawkeye and Black Widow are fighting over who's going to sacrifice themselves.
Yeah.
And I really thought for like a minute that maybe they were going to pull off a classic Disney moment where it's like, you both want to sacrifice yourselves, so now neither of you has to die, but you still get the prize. But it didn't work that way.
No.
But I really was hoping for a second. So that was pretty sad too. I didn't cry in that moment like I did at the end, but I was like, oh, there's gonna be some pain that happens.
Yeah.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah.
All right, final question. Was it missing anything? Was there something that you wish it had had?
Well, at the beginning, it was missing half the people. So, I don't know if we'll ever see storytelling that detailed over that amount of time in our lifetime, outside of like a really great book series. Yeah, what about you? Was there anything you would have liked to have seen or anything you wish was in there?
I guess I always wished for more Loki. Like, that was kind of what I was sad about in the first one, and maybe a little sad that... But I guess seeing that he got that Tesseract is kind of like, oh, it leaves it open for this potential alternate reality or timeline or something. Yeah, I guess I just wanted some way for them to like bring him back, and you know, they couldn't or whatever. All right, well, this has been really fun. Thank you for participating in this emotional support group for Avengers.
I will pay my copay before I leave.
Yeah, good, great, thank you. You can see Finn on your way out. He's my receptionist.
There you go.
For a question, I'd like to know, I mean, we asked lots of questions to ourselves. You know, like, answer one of the questions I asked. Like, do you have a favorite joke or one-liner or best fan service moment or saddest moment? Any of your thoughts from the film, go ahead and leave it down in the comments.
Don't forget to leave a comment below or above. You can do either one. Only one will be seen.
Remember, you can check me out on these other social media sites. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you know the moment there's a new video. See you guys next Thursday. Bye.
I won't be here next Thursday.
Yeah, just me. Bye.